Hello, hello. Today we are looking at Destiny 2 on PC, and these are my first impressions of the game. So first things first, how well does it run on PC? Well, I'd say it runs very good, at least on mine. I'm running a fairly mid-range PC, maybe higher mid-range, with an i5 processor and 970 GT graphics card. The frame rate is high, like 100, sometimes dips down to about 80 in more intense action scenes, but that's the lowest I've seen it go. And the screen does sometimes get extremely busy. All the cutscenes and things do drop down to 30 FPS though, and that can look a little bit jarring. The choppiness of it compared to the regular gameplay is a bit noticeable, at least I find anyway. The graphics options are pretty good, and you can go up to a 105 FOV, which is not bad at all. I have mine all set to highest, and as I mentioned before, I never really dip below 80 frames per second, no matter how busy the screen gets. The game seems very well optimized. I've also ran into very little in the way of bugs. On day one there was one where a mission wouldn't complete, or a part of a mission anyway. It was fairly near the start, so I didn't actually waste much time, and then other than that there was one instance where I got stuck in a bush, but I was able to jump out of it after a short amount of time, so it wasn't too big a deal. So with that, we can move on to the character creation, which is pretty basic, to be honest, although you can get something fairly unique going on. It doesn't really matter though, because once you get into the game, everything will be completely covered over with armor, and you'll be constantly just swapping to whichever the best armor is. So I don't think the customization is too great. It depends on what the shaders and engrams and things actually do later in the game, which I'm not too sure about. So after your character creation, you get thrown into this first cutscene, and you get introduced to a few of the characters here, including our buddy Cayde-6, voiced by my man Nathan Fillion.
The easiest thing I'll do all day.
Let's get serious, people.
Zavala, this is my serious face. Can't you tell?
Ikora, what have you got?
Someone or something has sabotaged the Skyline defense systems.
And comms have been spotty for the last few hours. Every sensor beyond the wall has gone dark.
And then we're thrown into the first mission of the campaign, which is very impressive. This was in the demo, and it was a great introduction to the game. I did worry slightly that they may have put particular effort into making this mission very good, since it was the demo and they wanted people to buy the game. This doesn't appear to be the case, having played further through the campaign. The effort that they've put into these missions seems to be very consistent. And yeah, it's very good. The gunplay in the game is extremely satisfying, and the melee feels quite impactful. As the Warlock class, you'll eventually see that they get a sort of force push kind of thing. And hey, look, it's our buddy Cayde-6.
Hey, you two, give me a sec.
I mean, I like threw a grenade there, but yeah, okay, you do it.
Zavala's doing the hero thing in the plaza. Me? I've got a date with whoever's behind this. It'll be a short date.
I am very impressed with the weapon variety, and not just of the different classes of weapons either. The within, like, assault rifles, auto rifles, as they call them, or pulse rifles, SMGs, sidearms, hand cannons, they all have a decent variety within their own categories as well. And they do feel decently different. There's from sniper rifles all the way down to just regular pistols. There's a good variety of weapons, also like grenade launchers, scout rifles. There's genuinely a very good variety of weapons. I do wonder what the balance is like in PvP, but that doesn't matter to me a huge amount, as for me one of the main reasons to play this game is its campaign and some of the co-op PvE gameplay in it, although I will be trying the PvP later. Apologies for any popping sounds that you're hearing in the background, by the way. There are fireworks going off and I cannot manage to get the sounds filtered out. But on here too, one of the reasons I think this game is great, just some of the spectacle in the game is really quite impressive.
And rumor is they have never known defeat.
And what I mean by that is a lot of the time, like, the levels just look really impressive. Like this bit here, it's quite atmospheric, and the backgrounds are often quite amazing, like the one you see before you right now. Now, obviously, you can't actually jump down there or get down there, do anything. If you try, you just die. But it just looks amazing. At this point here, I was really worried that there was going to be a lot of this kind of gameplay. You know, defend this location from so many waves of enemies. And I'm happy to say that later in the game, there is not actually a huge amount of this. There may be more in the future and more in the strikes and things, but so far, a fair few hours into the campaign now, and yeah, not a huge amount of this kind of defense spot from several waves of enemies, so that is good. The enemy variety is also pretty damn good throughout the game so far. So. Also, sometimes you need to pay attention, or this happens. You're supposed to get inside that shield so the missiles don't kill you. He does tell you. When the bar on your bottom left here fills up and turns yellow, you can do this. It's basically like a type of super ability you get, and it differs depending on what class, subclass you're using, what class and subclass you're using, I should say. And honestly, I feel like it's something this game could do without. It feels a little bit cheesy and overpowered, but you know, I can take it or leave it. No one forces you to use it. It can get you out of a pickle sometimes. I mean, it doesn't break the game for me, but I do think it breaks PvP a little. In the little PvP that I have tried, and I may show that in a later video.
Alright, destroy the turbines. The shields should fizzle. Yes, just like that. Amanda!
So here we are reaching the end of the first mission, and we will now be introduced to what I assume is our main antagonist.
How do we come back from this?
You don't. Welcome to a world without light.
Guardian, something's wrong.
Do not look at me, creature. You are weak, undisciplined, cowering behind walls. You're not brave. You've merely forgotten the fear of death. Allow me to reacquaint you. Your kind never deserved the power you were given. I am Gaul, and your light is mine.
If, like me, you didn't play Destiny 1, this lets you know that the Guardians are immortal, or at least were, before our big fella there stole the light. And now Guardians are vulnerable, once again. Kind of cool how they worked respawning into the lore. So anyway, turns out we survived our fall. Just. So, this section was quite cool the first time I played it. However, if you do go back to play the other two classes, then it's kind of annoying. And you do kind of wish that you could do this with it. Because, yeah, it kind of drags. I mean, it was atmospheric and tense the first time, but you don't get detected as far as I can see, no matter what you do. So, you really are just walking forward at an excruciatingly slow pace.
Guardian. You're alive. I thought I'd lost you. I can heal you, but I can't resurrect you.
Oh, you end up getting your light back pretty quickly, by the way, so this whole being vulnerable and not being able to be resurrected thing, it don't exactly last long.
Taken the city, the Traveler, everything. The Red Legion is killing powerless Guardians. We have to get out of here.
Now, the music in this game is fantastic, and a lot of the time it's really adding to the atmosphere and the feels in this game. Much like through this little section.
It's that Falcon again. Is it following us, or are we following it? Without their powers. That could be us. Guardian, if you die...
Now, well, I do think this section of the game is very, very good. Let's use it to highlight some of the slight issues I have at times. Okay, so, remember this view? Well, I mean, okay, that was a pretty long drop. Alright, let's see what a more reasonable sort of jump will get us. What? Like, seriously? I could jump that in real life, and I'm seriously heavy. Okay. I mean, they obviously didn't expect anyone to die in this bit because the music only lasted long enough for you to get through it just about. So now we carry on in silence. All right. Well, this looks traversable. Let's. Okay. That's all's well. All's well. And oh no, that was 1 foot too far. That was. So this is my third time through this section. I obviously didn't die the first time because the way you're supposed to go is pretty obvious. But I thought I'd just show how lazy the design was here. Like there are loads of potential ways down there if you explore a bit, but only the way that you're supposed to go doesn't get you killed. You know, even if you jump from there, look, dead. Now watch what happens when you go the right way. That'll show you just how ridiculous that last death was. Look, I fell exactly the same distance, but this time I'm fine. Okay. Oh
look, somebody left a perfectly good guardian lying around. Things must be worse than I thought. And that's our cue. Time to go, people!
But wait, where are you all going?
As far away from here as possible.
That Falcon, it belongs to you?
The name's Hawthorne, and this is Lewis. Best pilot we got. What about you? Fit to fly?
So also, another thing that really annoys me is the silent protagonist. I would have really preferred to just have, like, maybe a voice actor for each class, or you know, even if they did the same voice actor, if it was male or female, like, a little bit of effort there would have been good. You know, you could have had a sort of similar to Cayde 6, maybe wisecracking hunter class, and like a sort of more dry-witted warlock class, and then just a fairly super serious, bland soldier type for the other class. I might show you why I think of that class a little bit in saying that. But you know what I mean. They could have put some effort into giving you a decent character to be playing, rather than having this silent protagonist thing, which I've never really liked very much. But it's not a big deal. In contrast, they've put a bit of effort into the antagonist here.
And those foolish enough to remain have been executed. Victory, as with all things, is yours to claim.
This victory is as much yours as mine, old friend.
All that remains is the completion of the cage around this great machine. Then we may begin the extraction of its power and put it to its rightful use.
They call it the Traveler.
I would contend that other civilizations may be more precise in their naming. Its functions can be controlled and exploited, as we have so clearly proven.
Yet they believe it to be a god.
Dominus. Gaul. We have spent our lives, you and I, working to reshape our society, reforge our people, rebuild an empire nearly destroyed by Callus's greed and corruption. There is nothing in this universe greater than you.
I would say that overall, any grievances I have with this game are pretty slight, and hopefully I've done a good enough job here that anybody who's thinking about buying this game on PC, who maybe hasn't played Destiny before and doesn't know much about it, to have a look in. Most of the footage here is from the first mission, so there are very little spoilers in the video for anybody who does want to try out the game. I will be uploading a gameplay-only video as well, so you can check that out if you want to see more. I haven't really gone into anything to do with gear or any of the strikes or PvP or anything like that in this video, because I haven't really gotten too in depth into any of that just yet, and I may end up releasing a video later that is a more comprehensive review. But this was my first impressions, and yeah, my first impressions are the game's pretty damn good.